in the same chapter where he says that if you think that you can be justified by law, you've fallen from grace, then he says, but if you've been justified by grace, you will produce in your life the fruit of the Spirit, and you will not continue to practice these sins. Is he balanced in his view? He most certainly is. He believes in the commandments of God. He also believes in what? Faith in Jesus. Now notice what he continues saying in verse 22. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Against such there is no law. Let me ask you, have you ever seen a law against peace? Anybody ever seen a law against love? Anybody ever seen a law against kindness? Or a law against self-control? Absolutely not. You see, those who live according to the Spirit, there is no law that condemns them. Those who practice the list of sins that we noticed here will not inherit eternal life because they do not have the fruit of the Spirit that flows from their conversion experience. Notice verse 24. And those who are Christ's have crucified the flesh, including all of the works that we read, have crucified the flesh with its passions and desires. If we live in the Spirit, let us also walk in the Spirit. Did the Apostle Paul believe in good works? Did he believe in keeping the law of God? Yes, but as the fruit of salvation, not as the cause of salvation. Now, there's some other texts that people who are against the law use. People who say, oh, it's only grace, it's only faith. You don't have to worry about works. You don't have to worry about the law. Let's notice some of those verses, and then also notice the context that we find immediately after those declarations by Paul. Romans 3, verse 28. Therefore, we conclude that a man is justified by faith apart from the deeds of the law. So man is what? Justified by what? By faith apart from the deeds of the law. So some Christians conclude, they say, see, we don't need the law anymore because it says that we're justified by faith apart from the deeds of the law. Unfortunately, they don't read just 3 verses farther down. Notice verse 31. Do we then make void the law through faith? Certainly not. On the contrary, we establish the law. Let me ask you, is there room for faith and the law? According to Paul, yes. He says, we don't do away with the law by faith. We establish the law. Even though we're not justified by the law, we establish the law by faith. Another favorite passage by those who say that you don't have to keep the law, you don't need works, Romans 5, verse 20. Moreover, the law entered that the offense might abound. But where sin abounded, grace abounded much more. So some people say, see, where there's lots of sin, there's lots of grace. So let's sin a lot so that there's lots of grace. Unfortunately, they don't read Romans 6, verses 1 and 2. Right below that. The Apostle Paul knew that they were going to use this verse in this way. And so he says in verse 1 of chapter 6, what shall we say then? Shall we continue in sin that grace may abound? Did he know somebody was going to misuse that statement that where grace abounded, where sin abounded, grace would much more abound? He sure knew that that was going to be misused. So he says, what shall we say then? Shall we continue in sin that grace may abound? Certainly not. How shall we who died to sin live any longer in it? Is that clear? Another favorite text, and this is the all-time favorite, is Romans 6 and verse 14.